it wastes time for sure. Like I'll start playing and I'm like, yeah, I'll do like a couple things. And then I look and I'm like, I've been playing for 7 hours. So like, yeah. So imagine if I had a kid, I'd be like, oh shit, I forgot to feed him. Like,
right.
Sorry, I've been leveling up my necromancer. So the baby's hungry.
What is up, my friends? Thanks for tuning in again. This is the Scoped Exposure podcast. When I think about season 3, there's always certain guests that I'm like, these people is a no-brainer to have them on almost like every season. And it's fun to kind of do a check-in with these people more than just like a DM, like, yo, what's good kind of thing. And Brendan was very, very high on the list. So the King of Karaoke is back. Third time is a charm, but I think every time's been a charm itself. From Counterparts and
for some reason, people want to hear what I have to say, and I don't know why. But I mean, hey man, your funeral, I guess. some people like torture. I don't know. I've already dropped my vape. Give me 1 second.
Oh, grab the vape. Don't.
But yeah, it's nice. It's cool. Like I always love like coming back and sort of seeing like, doing podcasts and stuff and sort of seeing like, just like the level of, it's like, not that I get like jealous or whatever, but I see, it'll be like, oh dude, like I even, like what we were just saying before with like Craig and stuff. It's like, I'm like, damn, I was like one of the first episodes. And now I'm like looking at it and I'm like, damn, there's been like 300 since then. Like, and just watching like the production change and like, you get to like know people more and stuff. And it becomes less of like you can ask me about the record and more of just like a homie conversation. And I think that's like what people want to see, which is, that's all I've ever been good at. So,
yeah. And, I think Craig, shout out to Craig. Like, I think his episode and his podcast is very unique, and he's got a bit more of a buy-in because like Stray and Counterparts have toured plethora of times together. So
yeah,
I think it was, I was listening to his episode that he did with some of the dudes from Club Icon, and they were just hanging out like prior, like doing like fucking water slide activities like all day prior.
For sure.
And it's like, do you want to record a podcast? Yeah, sure. And it's cool just to be able to turn shit on and get things going.
Of course. Yeah. And that's the coolest way to like, because it's like, for like, I mean, you and I at this point, it's like, we can have like a friendly conversation and still kind of like cover topics that I guess people are interested in, but a lot of it is just me kind of going off on a tangent. But it's cool when you get to like, you're able to do that. I think you're able to do that. Like Craig's able to do that. Like a lot of the the podcasts that I go on and stuff, it's like mine is like the goof around, like dipshit episode where it's like two friends just talking, and then but you can also turn it on and be like, you can actually get like you can have like an intelligent conversation about someone's music too. That ain't happening here, baby.
Yeah. Turn that off. That's what you're expecting.
Maybe a little bit, but yeah.
I'm sure we'll get into some, subtle, intelligent points. But before we get on to anything too intelligent or dumb or music related, as you know, Brendan, we have to check a bev. Tradition for the guests to go first. Last episode, you were checking I think you were doing like a President's Choice seltzer kind of like morning cocktail kind of ritual. You're doing the same thing.
I mean, kinda. I'm having a Brenny breakfast for sure.
A Brenny breakfast.
So, I don't know if I had this one last time, but this, I don't know what it is. President's Choice seltzer is like top tier shit. Like, so I live with Adrian. Like, he used to play guitar in Counterparts. We went to the grocery store yesterday and bought like 8 or 9 cases. Like, we go and we just dump money. Like, the one day when I got home from the last tour, like I looked in our like front room thing, and there was like 15 cases of them, and it's like it's just all I drink. Like I'm gonna start brushing my teeth with it at this point. But my favorite flavor is they do a ginger ale seltzer, and it tastes exactly like ginger ale, but it's water. So nothing like, waking up at 4 a.m. and like, waddling to the fridge and just cracking it. It's like it's the best. It's the best. It's my favorite seltzer. Cause I mean, we don't have Polar here. Obviously if we had Polar, I'd be in the big leagues, but
it's funny because, I went down to Michigan for a wedding for one of my cousins, and I was flying back and my parents were driving back, like they were staying for a little bit longer. And I was talking to one of my uncles, and I was like, just having that realization, it was like, oh wait, you guys have all this dope stuff bev wise. So I was like, could I give you a little bit of a grocery list and send you some money? He's like, I'll just grab you some stuff. And it's like surprisingly like way cheaper than, coming up to Canada and you're trying to get like an 8-pack of LaCroix, and it's like $9.
Oh yeah, it's exactly.
You could get a 12-pack of Polar or what I'm drinking today, which is Waterloo, for like a ridiculously low amount of money, which is wild. So
my brother, like every time I go home and like visit my parents and stuff, like I'll go in my brother's like fridge in the basement, and he's like stocked, like it's like Polar, Spindrift, like all the Yankee like funny water that you can think of. And like there like some like different pop flavors too, but he just like gets bored, and like him and his girlfriend are just like drive to Buffalo and literally just go to Buffalo and get like pop and soda water. And I'm like, you're nuts, but hey, whatever, I'm like, I mean, to be fair, we've driven to Buffalo for wings before. So it's like, I get it. I mean, it's close enough, right? But right. One you can eat, one you can drink, same thing. Yeah.
I also think it's just funny as two Canadians on this podcast, both living in the southern part of Ontario, a brand called Waterloo, but the drink itself is made in Austin, Texas.
Exactly.
Just, a funny thing to me. I'm sure there's a Waterloo, Texas of some kind. So shout out to anyone who's from that neck of the woods. But I'm just saying it's like a honorary, Canadian bev of sorts.
For sure. That's the thing. But
I'll cheers my Waterloo to the Brenny breakfast. Thanks for coming on, man.
I should have got 2 straws. Thank you for having me.
No, of course. Also,
I do this every day.
Well, okay. I like that you're mentioning that, because something that I haven't really talked about on the podcast a little bit, but like I think it's something this is like totally even outside of like hardcore in general, but like I've really been inspired by the amount of like dope bevs that are out in this side of Canada that aren't out west. So I'm like, I need to just like make some kind of like, bev boutique of some kind. And whether that starts small as like, showing up at like farmers markets or different events just have like a little, kind of like a pop cart kind of thing, but for beverages. But then, my brain starts to ramble. I was like, whoa, what if we had like a storefront, and what if we made our own drinks and all these things? So I'm just documenting it if it happens in 3 or 5 years or 7 years. But if we have some kind of cocktail line, I'll do Brenny breakfast, which is, some kind of sparkling water.
Yeah, it's ginger ale, sparkling water, and Jameson served separately. With 2 straws, and you just drink it at the same time.
2 straws.
You can put them in the same cup, but why would you do that?
And if that does come to fruition, drinks on me for you for life.
Love it. Oh, and I mean, it's not a bev, but there's liquid in it. I mean, I'm hitting my vape. I have to.
Of course.
I'm a dirty little addict. What can I say?
So Brendan, I was like, as with like a part 2 or now a part 3 convo, and like we were saying at the beginning of the episode, this is, any of the origin stuff, we covered that a lot in your very first interview. So this is like more of like the vibe check part 2 as far as what's up in your world and how you're doing.
I mean, like I'm doing okay. This is like this is actually like, I mean, I've been gone so much this year that I think like, I don't know I can't remember the last time I was home, but I want to say like maybe Jane. No, because I maybe January, because I think February we did Australia with architects, and then Kenny, Kyle, and I just ended up like staying there for a while, and then we went to, we did the Europe tour with sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So end of last year,
there's been so much that's been going on.
Or beginning of the year, I think we did the, what was it? It was like we did I think we did the Justice Europe tour, and then we did the headliner in Europe, and then we flew right from that. Well, Kenny, Kyle, and I flew right from that, and we went straight to Japan from London, and we were there for like a month. Then we did like the Japan like Counterparts and End tour. So doing like, I was doing like 2 sets. It was only 4 shows, so it's whatever. But it definitely wasn't like crazy. And then from there, Kenny and I went with End, and we did Southeast Asia, back to Australia, and then what was it? Then we did the Euro Festival run. Came home, was home for 2 days. I think I did laundry one day, and then Adrian, Kenny, and I went and saw Twice the next day, and then we immediately left for our other tour. And I got home from that about probably just under like a month ago at this point. So I've been gone for most of the year. Like I've been in my apartment for like maybe January and now August, I guess, if this counts. And I've got probably like about a month until I leave for the Devil Wears Prada Fit for a King Landmarks tour. So I've just been busy, I've been going, you can tell, you can see the grays, like you can see the bags. Like I've been going for I've been going for a minute, but it's been fun. All the tours have been good. That's about it. I mean, like in terms of like as far as I go, like I feel like feel pretty much the same. I'm just kind of like chilling at home, playing Diablo, getting vasectomies, doing the whole thing. But
which we were kind of like trying to. I think the initial plan for this podcast was to do it either just before or just after. Yep. But I think having a little bit of time afterwards.
After is funnier for sure. Because, and sorry, TMI, everybody, my apologies. But now one of my testicles is blue. Oh. So it's bruising. But so I did that on Thursday. It's been, I think, like 3-4 days at this point. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, definitely weird. I mean, I it's funny because like everybody thought that I was kidding. Like I was like posting about it, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, sure." And then I would post like, I remember in my Instagram story, like I posted a photo of like the room where I got it done, and they had like one of those like, like the Mr. Ticklish, like Mrs. Hungry, like whatever. Yeah. Like they had one of those on the wall, and it was framed, and it said like Mr. Vasectomy, and it was one of those guys with like a Band-Aid over his dick. And I posted that, and everyone's like, "That's so funny." And then the next post was me sitting with frozen peas in my lap, and everyone's like, "What happened? What'd you do?" And I'm like,
Did you not follow the order?
I'm like, I got a vasectomy. Like, what are you talking about?
Right. This was not a close friend's story. It was public.
Yeah, it was public. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if one person messaged me and was just like, "Yo, that's crazy." And I'm like, "Is it?" It's like, it's frozen peas. Like, and you see like my knees and ankles in socks. It's like, it's not that bad, but yeah. So I did that, the other day, and still trying to figure out how to like sleep on my stomach and everything. But other than that, everything's kind of been the same.
Yeah.
I walk pretty funny now, but hopefully by the end of this week, that'll go away.
Is it best to say that, if that's your bag of peas that's used for that reason, you're not like, "Oh, I might use that in a dish next week," or anything like that?
I don't really like peas, but so I was actually thinking about this. Like, so we were grocery shopping yesterday, and I grabbed like a thing of pizza rolls, and I was like, "Yo, that's like the same size as the bag of peas." Like I could have been 2 birds with one stone. I could have used it when I needed the ice factor. And then as soon as I was feeling better, I could have popped them in the air fryer and ate them. I don't know.
Just a little snack.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with like a bag of frozen peas. Like maybe one day it'll come in handy, but yeah, there's a cover. I mean, you can't put it on bare skin. You gotta have like underwear on, but yeah, I mean, I would eat them.
I don't know what that's called,
We'll
but it's like, it's kind of that, you know,
I think it's called a kink.
well, it might be called that, but I think it's where you're using something not like for something that has like a degree of like grossness to it. So it's like,
Sure.
you know, I have just random dog bags that I'll just have in my pockets while I'm out, just like kind of because I know I'll forget the main roll and whatever. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I just need a garbage bag, or I need to be able to carry this. And they're like, oh, you're using a dog bag? I'm like, it's literally just plastic. But
yeah,
you know, as soon as it touches shit, now it's
now it's a dog bag. Yeah.
When you take food and you're using that as your like, you know, your dick frozen pillow.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
if you were using, because like, you know how like there's no like plastic bags anymore and shit, like you got to buy like the store brand reusable bags. Like if you were using those to clean up your dog's shit, I'd be like, that's fucking crazy. And you know, and you're like you're throwing them in the wash, I'd be like, that's fucked up. Right. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, I mean, yeah, now that I think about it, I'm like, I wish I got something other than like peas. But like so like our merch guy, like the merch guy for Counterparts and then Kenny, like it's my best friend. Like he drove me to the thing. It was like 20 minutes in and out. Like my appointment was 2. By 2:20, we were already driving back to my apartment. It was like very quick. But I didn't have an ice pack, and it said on the thing, like on the sheet, it was like, don't bring one of those, like, you know, like the school lunchbox, like ice packs,
the bricks,
like the blue brick guys. It said on there, like in all caps, like bold, underlined, like do not use those. Like they're not fit to like hold against skin. You'll get frostbite. And in the thing, it was like, use a bag of frozen peas. So I'm like, Kenny, I forgot my ice pack. Like I'm going in now. Like, can you run to the store and get me like a bag of frozen peas? And I got out and he had them, and I was like, wow, sure. So I might keep them forever. Who knows? Yeah. Unless I get hungry enough to eat an entire bag of peas, which is crazy. But
yeah, if you see after this podcast, if you've seen a story on Brendan's Instagram of him just wolfing down some peas,
just
like not even cooked, not even trying to get any follicles.
Peas and nothing, just a bowl of them, and I'm just eating them like they're cereal. Yeah, I'm like at that point, then it's like, yeah, maybe, check your e-transfer thing and just throw my email in, or, donate on PayPal. Cause if that happens, I'm pretty fucked up. I'm down pretty bad, but yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, hey, I recommend it. Anyone, if you hate kids as much as I do, and you're as big of a fuck up as me, go get your bag hole punched. It's fucking hilarious. It's hilarious. It was hilarious for the first 2 days. It's not anymore.
Or is it just like you're
if you
fully conscious if you do for the whole ordeal?
I was fully conscious for it. Like, so there's 2 kinds. Like there's like, and it's funny, like I didn't tell like my parents I was doing it until like the day before. I'm like, oh yeah, I have a vasectomy tomorrow. And my mom like freaked out because she's like, your dad got a vasectomy, and he was like messed up for weeks. And I'm like, well, yeah, like what year was that? And she's like, I don't remember. And I'm like
exactly,
was like, did 9/11 happen yet? Or like, was it before then? And she's like, yeah, it was like 2000 or something, or like 99. And I'm like, well, yeah, things have changed a little bit. I'm like, yeah, you guys didn't know what ADD was back then, let alone. So now it's like, there's a no scalpel procedure, and it's like, you just get numbed, like you're getting like a filling, and they just do your thing. And I remember like once I felt numb, I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be feeling this, but like I can't. So I guess I'm numb. And he was just like, you're done. Like, you're out of here now. He's like, yeah, here's your sheet. See ya. Yeah. So it's like, it was so fast, but the numbing part hurt. That part sucked. Yeah. That was horrible. I out of instinct, I just started like dying laughing. Like I was like laughing my ass off, and like was covering my face, and I was like heeing, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know why this is so funny. Right. And the doctor was laughing, and I'm just like, is that like a normal reaction? And he's like, no. I'm like, cool. I'm like, all right, sick. But
This grown tattooed really man funny. Just giggling as I'm numbing his balls.
Yeah, well, and like that was the thing too, and like that's what they were saying. They're like, "Oh, you've had tattoos, like it won't be that bad." I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't have like my dead cat tattooed on my nuts." You know what I mean? I'm like, that's the one spot. But yeah, it was an ordeal. It's annoying right now, the aftercare, but you know, it'll be worth it just to make sure I never have a little version of me running around, because that, you know, when people talk about like someone giving birth to the Antichrist and we have to kill it, like that's what my kid would be. So
I see.
Not gonna plague the world with that one.
Yeah. But have you always not wanted kids, or was that something kind of like more recently?
Yeah. Never. No, I just, kids lie. Like they just like, they're just annoying and they lie. And like, you know, you'll like hang out with like someone's kid or like your young cousins and they'll be like, "Oh, like I go to school with Dracula." And I'm like, "No, you don't, you fucking liar." I'm like, "You're full of shit." Like, I'm like, imagine if that was my kid, I'd be like, "Bro, you're fucking disappointing." Like, right. Like you don't go to fucking school with Renfield or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I just never really wanted it, and I'm like, yeah, cool. At least it's one thing I can make sure of at this point. But yeah, if I change my mind, I'll get it reversed.
Yeah, that's kind of the beautiful thing about it. It's like, yeah, like it's just, you know, it's pretty easy to split that link. It's just as easy to put it back together if you were to change your mind. But I'm very much in the same camp as you. Like, and it's free here in Canada. Like, oh really? That's the thing. Everyone, if you get it reversed, it's like 10 grand or some shit, and it's like. So that's where they get you. But like, I really don't think I'm going to change my mind. But so many people were messaging me being like, you know, "How much did you pay?" Like, that's crazy. Like I was going to do it and it was going to be this much. I was like, I went to my doctor and I'm like, "Yo, you've seen my blood work. Like, you know about my life." I'm like, all I put in my body is like Vyvanse, ginger ale, sparkling water, and Jameson. I'm like, I scream for a living. I'm like, I don't want a kid. And he's like, "Yeah, you're right. You shouldn't have a kid." And I'm like, okay. And then a month later I had the surgery. So, but yeah, it's like, it's free here. So, you know, that's the other thing. It's like, well, you know, might as well. Like, yeah, that's true. But yeah, I've been very much like comfortable with not having anything really in the mix, and I have 2 dogs, and that's like more than enough. And like no shade to anyone listening who wants to, you know, have kids one day, whether they play in bands or not. But I think it is kind of something to kind of just be like, yeah, that's a hill that I'm like, that's something I'm confident enough to take something. Totally. Yeah. And like there's so many of my friends like in bands like who do tour, like they have kids, and I'm like, "You're great." I'm like, "You're a great parent." Like when I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, we're thinking about having a kid," I'm like, "You should, like you'd be a good parent." But then I think about me and I'm just like, no. I'm like, I like, you know, yeah, I mean, I like not, you know, that's not to say that if it wasn't planned, I would be like a deadbeat and be like, "Nah, I'm fucking out of here. Like, peace." Right. You know, like I'll put you on guest list when for your 16th birthday. You know what I mean? But like, but you that's know, my like, dad. Yeah, straight up. And then other people start piping up, being like, "Wait, me too." But yeah, like, you know, I mean, even like having having Kuma when he was alive and stuff, and just like the problems, like his health problems and stuff. It's like, and that was, you know, it's like, it was a cat, you know what I mean? And I'm just like imagine if it was a kid, like I'd be in the mental hospital, you know what I mean? After everything. So I'm just like, I'm not like mentally sound enough. I'm simply too dumb. I could take care of a cat or a dog or something, but I'm like a kid. I'm like, kid's going to be walking around being like 905 dipshit and everything. They're going to get in trouble at school. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you know, how do I do that? But yeah, I was fairly confident in it. I was just like, hey, I've got a month off. Hole punch my bag, I guess. And they did. And now I'm in pain and I walk really funny. But other than that, you know, everything else in my life is pretty much just, it's been the same. Been playing a lot of Diablo. Mm-hmm. And I don't even really know what I'm doing in the game. Like everybody else in the band and stuff, like they like play games a lot. I just kind of hop in because I'm like, I don't want to miss out, you know? Yeah. I'm like, oh, like everyone's like playing it, like, and hope that, you know, you're making some kind of progress. Yeah.
Exactly. But like it, you know, it is fun. It's it wastes time for sure. Like I'll start playing and I'm like, yeah, I'll do like a couple things. And then I look and I'm like, I've been playing for 7 hours. So like, yeah. So imagine if I had a kid, I'd be like, oh shit, I forgot to feed him. Like,
Right.
sorry, I've been leveling up my necromancer. So the baby's hungry.
Right.
You know, the baby's attack power is what, 3? You know, my guy's what, just under 1,000? Like,
yeah.
But
fucking
yeah,
wreck you. Yeah.
that's what I mean. But yeah, it's been, you know, it's just been taking a lot of plane rides and yelling a lot since we talked last. So
yeah. So I didn't have this on my list, but I think this is something I've always kind of been curious about, and I think you've kind of showcased how busy and how much you've had your hand in things in the last 8-9 months, however you want to look at the calendar year. What's like the 24 hours after kind of like a marathon like that, like excluding the times like you were saying where you're like, I have one day to do laundry and then the next day I'm kind of doing that, where you have like, I'm home for a little bit, like what's like, do you just like throw your shit on the floor and like collapse? Do you like
I can't
intentionally try to like go and eat at like a certain spot that you've been missing for a long time? Like what's the perfect like 24 to 48 hours to like
as soon as you said that, I was like, I gotta mention the pickle pizza. But like, I mean, even when I am home for like just a day, it's like I'll get home, first and foremost, I like pretty much, even if I know, like, I wear like the same shirt a lot. Like I'll have like a stage shirt that gets sweaty, but for the most part, it's like, if I go on tour, like the last tour we did, it's like I brought maybe like 4 or 5 t-shirts with me. But even still, it's like, even if I don't wear them ever, it's like I get home, I like empty my duffel into the laundry first and foremost, and then I shower. And then once the laundry's done, I like take everything out. I unpack, put stuff away. And then usually that night, I mean, it's happened, I think the last like couple tours, there's a place in Hamilton called Highline Pizza, and they do like a pickle pizza, and we normally get that, or we have hot dogs, and we just like have everyone over and grill hot dogs. That's what we did. Actually, we did both the day I got home from the last tour. We had hot dog week is what we call it. We had that in the morning. It's like we just call it, it's not a certain week. It's just, we just call it that. Yeah. But we did hot dog week like in the afternoon, and then later that night we got our pickle pizza, and then I just kind of like, unwind. Like I start like, going through like the business stuff and being like, okay, cool. Like we got to pay these people off. Like I got to pay everybody out. I normally it's like, cool. Like, let me check and see if I've got refills for my medication. Let me do this. Like, just sort of try and like, just take care of all the stuff that I couldn't do like on the road.
Right.
And, and then, the first day home is usually like pretty busy. I'm kind of like trying to get everything in order and make sure everything's taken care of. And then as soon as it's taken care of, I'm like, I'm fucking off. Like I'm done now. It's like, I'm doing whatever I want. Like, I'm like, alarms off. I'm sleeping, as long or as little as I please. Like, I usually try and hit up some friends I haven't seen in a while and stuff, basically anybody that isn't in Counterparts. Cause it's like, I've been around you for a month and you know what I mean? Aside from Kenny, I guess, cause he's always just over here. And I just kind of like, just like chill and sort of relax and just, it goes from me being on tour, I guess, and doing like, I have to be kind of like, maybe not like, when I say on the ball, I mean like on the ball for me is not on the ball for normal people. It's like, if I can stand up and make sounds, I'm doing pretty good. Sure. But yeah, I just try to make sure everything's taken care of and everyone's paid, and, managers, crew, booking agents, members, all of our bills are paid. And then as soon as that's done, I'm just like then it's like kind of like, I feel bad saying it because it's like when I'm on tour, like that's kind of like party time. But then when I'm home, it's like party time, but I don't have to scream for 45 minutes a day. Right, so it's like even more of a party for me, I guess. But yeah, like I just kind of like unwind and get back into. It sounds
like you get a little bit more like more like your bubble. Because like when you're,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
you're an introvert or extroverted person, you're in front of
For sure.
new people every single day if you're on tour. So like, it sounds like you're kind of like creating a little bit of a fortress of like your own solitude.
Sure. Yeah. 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 And just like, and being like, and especially going from, like I said, I think I was gone from like February until like the end of July. And, it's like I'm doing that and I'm basically like around somebody at like every day, and it's like there's not a day where I like, I'm not having like some sort of interaction, which is like I prefer that. That's what I like, I'm extroverted and I like that. And I like, I like hitting like a group chat with 20 people being like, yo, like what are we doing, boys? Let's go. But just kind of like, I mean, I feel like, yeah, like on tour I kind of get in like, I want to do stuff and I want to, I want to go out and I want to, I want to go places and do things and hang out with people and everything like that. Then I get home and I'm like, okay, I need like a sec, I need a minute. Like, right. Yeah, maybe like some of my close friends will come over and stuff, but that's kind of the trade-off where I'm like, yo, I'm down to hang out, but like, I'm not leaving the fucking house. I'm like, I'm not driving a car. I'm like,
if you pull up like, in a passenger van, no way I'm getting in that for a little bit.
Hell no. Exactly. And I'm just right. I'm down to kick it, but like you guys are coming to me because, I'm like, I'm enjoying stuff, it's like, oh, cool. I can like play my games. I can sleep in my own bed. I can do laundry when I can shower whenever I please. Like, just sort of doing like the basic human things that like most people do every day. Like you kind of take them for granted a little bit. And then you go on tour and you're like, oh, well, our bandwagon water smells like fucking chlorine and it's greasy, but like, the next 4 days we don't have showers. So it's like, well, what do? It's like, cool. I'm like, basically like, it's like I'm soaping up and jumping into a fucking public pool. And, and then I come home and I'm like, oh, I'm going to take like a long shower. Maybe I'll even shampoo my hair if I feel like I deserve it. Like maybe I'll do some skincare stuff. Like, I won't have to brush my teeth with a water bottle. So it is nice to kind of enjoy that after a tour for sure. And like, just be like, cool, maybe everything's okay. And it's like stable because touring is like obviously very hectic and, like, you don't have to like plan out your meals when you're home. You're just like, I'm hungry, I'll eat. But, like on tour, it's like, okay, well, this place closes at this time. So like, I got to, I'm going to ask the promoter to order us pizza at, this point of our set, because if I order it later, it'll be closed, and trying to like plan everything. And when you're home, it's just like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. And,
nothing is worse than a show ending and being like so hungry and realizing that so many places have closed during that final band act.
Yep.
So I can't imagine being on the other side where it's like you've been waiting around all day, slinging merch, doing, vocal warm-ups or whatever you got to do. And then
everyone's like, heavens no, I would never do those. But yeah, like that's kind of it. It's just like, it's nice to be at home and just be like, hey, like, and don't get me wrong. Like usually like a couple days after I get home, we'll get paid out and I've got a little bit of fun money and I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm like, it's like the opposite of, it's like a vacation, but it's the opposite of like a normal person's vacation. Like normal people do that every day. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to go fly somewhere and like go to an all inclusive. And for me, I'm just like, I've been doing that already on tour. Like, I'm in a new city every day. I see friends every night. I go hard. And then I'm like, I'm going to do whatever I want, just like at home and sort of, and then at the same time too, it's like, yeah, I'm going to do stuff to like take care of myself a little bit better than I have been on the road. But it's fun, it's like, it is sick to do that. And I think I like, when we started touring, like, we were all really young. We were like 18, 19. And so I never really had that. And then I think like COVID, like the quarantine stuff, like sort of, that was the first time. And like, for me, like absolutely. And for most of our friends that tour, like, anyone in our friend group, like that was sort of the first time where it was like, yo, this like weird, hectic, like touring lifestyle is like, it's done now. Like now you got to like have a routine and like be a human being. And it's like nice to have that, you know what I mean? Like, it's nice to be able to come home to that, you know? And it's a balance thing. Like, you know, we go on tour and it's like, yeah, we like fuck around and have our fun, and, you know, we're a bunch of dipshits, but getting home is like, okay, cool. Like, maybe I'll try to take care of myself like a little bit more than I was. But, and I don't have to yell, so it rocks.
Yeah.
I don't have to get sweaty, you know, it's sick.
Yeah. It's cool that, you know, because obviously, like, bands who get the opportunity to tour as much as, you know, you guys, or having any degree of that, that's definitely something that should be explored. But it's cool to hear, because some people just dread being home and they're just like have the itch to go out again. And I think,
For sure.
I think there's a lot of that, especially in like the younger bands who are just kind of getting started. So, you know, for someone who's been doing it for, you know, double digits of years at this point now, you're like, I would like a little, you know, me time, just to be able to play some
nice.
video games and, you know.
Yeah, you know, where you don't have to, you know, you're not like constantly checking the clock being like, okay, well, if I take a nap now and I, you know, if I schedule an Uber Eats order for like this time, then like I'll wake up, you know, I'll be able to eat before the set. I can do this. And then, you know, it's just like, and like I was going to bring that up too. It's like when we were younger and we were first touring, like that was all we kind of knew straight out of high school. So that became like, I was like, this is it. Like, this is how I like live my life. And up until COVID, when everybody was forced to stay inside, like I had never had like a routine or anything like solid like that, where it's like every day I'd wake up and be like, I don't know what the fuck is happening today. Like, it's all new. And it changes day to day. And I think that like, that's like probably, you know, the only good thing that came out of being stuck inside for those 2 years for me is like, you know, doing it and being like, okay, like there is a balance that you can get. Like you can get, you know, you can be like, not reckless, it might not be the right word, but like, you know, you can kind of do the touring thing and be like, yeah, whatever, like, you know, going to bed on tour, like it's like I go to my bunk and I'm like, oh, I didn't eat food today. That's crazy. And then like, it is nice to be at home and be like, hey, like, look at me. Like I had lunch and dinner, which is more than what I normally do, you know?
Right.
So it is like, you know, it is kind of nice to like get back into it. But the only thing is like, you know, it's for how long, you know, at any given point, I probably have like maybe a month off at a time. So it's like, then part of me goes like, don't get too comfortable. Cause you know,
right.
You know, September 10th or whatever, like you just got to leave again, and you got to be, you know, you got to like plan your meals out and plan everything and like try to be, you know, you got to try a little bit harder, but it's worth it. You know, it is cool. It's nice to be able to do both. It's like, it kind of solidifies like, okay, if I have to be an adult, I can do it.
Right.
But I don't want to be, but if I needed to be, I could.
Right. You brought up a little earlier how End and Counterparts have done a tour together, but it was only 4 shows. And I'm thinking about when I had Josh, who plays in Vamakara, Twist of Cain, Momentum, plays in a lot of bands. And when he was on the podcast, we were talking about doing double duty for a show, but then for some cases for him, he's done triple duty, and it's unbearable at times. Is 4 shows the max for screaming for you, or do you think you could go a little bit longer, or you don't even want to? I
think I could. There was when we did like, I want to say it was like maybe like, because we did like the Private Room like first tour with like Being as an Ocean, Have Mercy, Burials, and we did the other one with like Burials and Dying Wish and Chamber and everybody. And like, I think on the second one, I think all of the East Coast shows, I'm pretty sure End opened. So I think I'll have to double check, but I think that was longer than 4 days. And like, I could do it. It's like, I mean, especially too, like on that tour, it would be, you know, like End would like open, and then there'd be like 3 bands and then Counterparts. So it's like, yeah, I'm good.
It's not, you know, like the set ends like, and you're like, I have to just stay here for the next 15
just turn
minutes.
around. Yeah, like turn around and be like, I'm back, baby. Yeah, and in Japan it was the same thing. It was like, you know, we did 3 shows in one fest, and like the 3 shows, there was always a band in between, so I could like, you know, I could take like a 30-40 minute break, chill. And then at the festival, it was like, End played pretty early, and then there was like hours and hours before Counterparts played. So in those scenarios, like easy, like I could do it. And it's funny, like, there were people like at Blood Axe that were doing like, they'd come up to me and be like 2 sets. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I'm playing 3. And I'm like, you got me. I'm like, all right.
Okay, here's the crown.
Yeah. I'm like, you win. But like, I think I could do it for longer. Ideally, it would be neither band is headlining. Like 30-minute sets, I'm like, sure, done. Like that's nothing. But like, I remember, like, I think it was like the second Japan show, like played with End, and like that set was like pretty long. I mean, they like love playing music, so it's like, it's like, oh, we have 45 minutes, like we should do 45 minutes. And I'm like, no, I'm like, Counterparts
No,
probably
probably
isn't even doing 45 minutes. But we would do that, and then like halfway through, I think it might have been at like Anti-Knock in Shinjuku, like halfway through the Counterpart set, I was like, yo, give me a sec. And I just like kind of sat down and just like had some water, had a drink. I was like hitting my vape, just like chilling for a sec. And then I'm like, okay, here's 10 more. You know what I mean? But like, I feel like a lot of people would sort of like see that and be like, oh, I can't believe he would like do that. Like that's like unprofessional or whatever. But it's like, I'm not like a professional. It's like, that's just literally me being like, yo, I need a second. Like when I can't remember where it was on the last tour that Counterparts just did. I don't it was somewhere in like Western Canada, but we were like on stage, and like halfway through the set, I was like, yo, I forgot my vape. And give me a sec. And I just like ran backstage and grabbed it and came back. I'm like, sorry about that. And it's like, I understand that that's unprofessional and it's like stupid and goofy, but I'm like,
but that's very you.
That's me. And like, and
willing to
honestly,
stop an entire set to get the vape.
Yeah. Like I'm like, yo, everybody just talk to each other for 1 second. I'm like, I'll be, 10 seconds. That's it. And I would like ran backstage, grabbed it. And I'm like, hey, I'm back. Sorry about that. And it's like, I think that shit's funny. Mm-hmm. And I hope when people see it, they're just like, oh yeah, it's just Brendan being like a fuckhead as usual. Mm-hmm. I love that. Some people, it's like, oh, like, they'll get like bands like get on stage and like they won't have like water or anything, and they're like, oh, guess I gotta rough it. Like I'm not gonna go like backstage and grab water. And I'm like, who gives a shit? I'm like, just go get it. It's like, you're a human. Like, mm-hmm. You don't have to put on this like, I'm the vocalist guy and like I'm not water. What's that? It's like, bro, just go get your like, oh, you're tired. Like take a fucking break. Like chill out. Who cares? Mm-hmm. As long as it doesn't fuck with the schedule and, you don't like end up going over by 20 minutes and the band after you is like, yo, what the hell was that?
Right.
You're not hurting anybody. But, in terms of that, it's like, I do that shit and it's funny. And then like, it becomes a bit and everyone like laughs about it and everyone, like play the next day and people would be like, oh, like, do you remember your vape? Like, don't forget your vape. It's backstage. Yeah. Like, and then it becomes like a thing and it's like, and it makes people like, maybe appreciate is like the wrong word, but it makes people just be like, yo, these guys are like fucking normal. Like, we're not trying to be like, welcome to the show. Like you're getting a show. It's like, you're getting fucking 4 dipshits and a computer doing our best. Like, that's kind of it. You know what I mean? So I love that about us. And I think that that's like, I think that's part of our charm in a way to where it's like, totally we'll do shit like that, But yeah, I mean, in terms of the 2 set thing, like I don't want to do it. Like, it's not that I'm like stoked on it, but I'll do it if it makes sense. Like, so for Japan, it's like we have like, Counterparts was going already. So it's like, we have, me, Kenny, like Jesse, Kyle, Tyler, we're already there. So then it's like, all right, if we have End on it, it's like, that's what, 4 more flights. It's like, we got to get Jay, Will, Matt, like, and Greg out. And it's just like, okay, like, well, if 2 of us are already going to be there, that's right there. You're saving like $2,000. We have Cam mixing us. You know what I mean? It's like, he'll do both. Kenny will sell merch for both of us. It's like, we might as well do it. And then in like situations like that, it makes perfect sense. Like,
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily want to do like a North American tour like that, because I would be like, yo, this, like, we all have a vehicle of sorts. We can just figure this out. But that made sense to me. And I was just like, yo, like, we were talking to Koba, the guy who books us in Japan. And I was like, yo, would you be down to have End on it too? And like, we'll just have a band in between. And he was down, and I was just like, yeah, just makes sense. Like, and then, but like, both bands, like both sets went crazy every night. And I'm, and even though I'm tired and I'm like soaked and I'm just like, fuck, I never want to scream again. I'm like, it is a pretty cool feeling to be like, yo, people went off for like both the bands that I sing for tonight. And like, that's really cool.
So,
and even seeing the crossover too, because like they're very different bands, but the crossover is like me and Kenny selling merch. You know what I mean? But it's like, but it's cool that people, like there's probably people that like End that have never heard Counterparts that might listen to Counterparts because I sing for them, and vice versa. And it's just like, you can, it makes sense. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work, but whatever,
Yeah. Well, that was kind of my next question. It was like, because I think it's pretty fair when someone who's in one band is like, hey, I have this side project, if we want to call it, and that's kind of how things started at least at the beginning.
Yep.
And I think it's fair to say it's like, oh yeah, if you know Counterparts, you'll know End. But have you had any fan interactions where people were like, oh, you're in that band? Like, it kind of like caught you off guard that you were like, oh, like, you don't know.
Honestly, like a lot. Like it
Really?
happens all the time. And, people like, I'll be like talking to people and I'll be like, yeah, like my other band. And they're like, oh, what's your other band? And I'd say End. And they're like, what do you like, play guitar or bass or drums or something? And I'm like, and like that, like, I guess like me being in another band, like, and them not knowing, that's not the part that like, that is confusing to me. It's the part where it's like, they know End. And then they're like, what do you like, guitar? And I'm like, no, I sing in both. And they're like, that's
Let
not
me pull
you.
up the music video that I've watched 10 times, and you point yourself. You're like,
right. And I'm like that. Yeah, that's me. I'm like, and they're like, you do vocals in both. Like, you sound different. I'm like, yeah, it's like screaming.
It's like, called range.
You can just change. Yeah, there you go. It's like, you can just kind of change it. It's like, Counterparts, I'm in that like Killing the Dream verse era. Like, I'm just yelling at the top of my lungs. And then, with End, it's like, it's either really high or really low. And I never dip into the Counterparts part of it. And that's it, But like, so many people were like, when End first came out, like people are like, what are you doing? Like, are you doing guitar in this band? And I'm like, no, that's me.
You think I could play this guitar?
Well, and that's the thing. Both of them. It's like, and like, when Counterparts started, the first like iteration of like me and Jesse playing together, like we were both playing guitar, but I'm like, I couldn't play guitar in Counterparts or End. Like, no fucking, no chance. There's no fucking way. Like, the screaming's hard enough. I'm like, I'm not like, don't give me a fucking instrument. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
But yeah, like that always catches me off guard and stuff. And then we kind of just started like playing with it, like on the eulogy, like the vinyl, like when you open the gatefold, it's like there's one part in Mass Grave where I do like a high scream, and we like jokingly put like, oh, like guest vocals on Mass Grave of Saints by Brennan Murphy of End. And like, you know what I mean? And just like, we just kind of play it up because it's funny. Right. But I don't know, maybe it's because I did it, and I like, when I hear it, I'm like, it kind of sounds like how I do when I talk. It's just a little lower, a little higher, but like some people just don't know. And I'm like, and you know what? Like, I think that's really cool too, because, the one thing that I never wanted with End is I never wanted it to be like, oh, this is cool because it's like these guys from these bands. And I think we were all like, and yeah, obviously like when we first came out and we first dropped like the EP, that's kind of what like publications and shit like ran with. Cause like, it's kind of hard to avoid. Like, it is a thing, but I didn't want it to be like, oh, here's like, all these guys from these cool bands like started another band, and like that's the reason why you should like this. It's like, you should like the music first. And that's always been like a big priority for me, because we've Counterparts, like we've been burned so many times by you know, touring with bands where it's like, oh, you know, it's X people from this, and you know, it's like a super group, and I'm like, we're not a fucking, we're like a super group of fucking dipshits. Like that's all it is. It's like, yeah, like that's how we all met and became friends and started this band. But it's not like, you know, that shouldn't be the edge that makes people want to listen to it. And like, I know it's inevitable, totally. But you know, I like the fact that, you know, I will talk to people and they'll be like, I didn't know you were an End. And I'm like, good, because I don't want to, you know, I never wanted it to be like, yeah, honestly. Yeah. Cause I didn't want it to be like, hey, like ding, ding, like, oh, we're huge already, like right out the gate, like, oh, a new band with these guys. So that means we don't have to grind and we don't have to work. It's like, we did the exact opposite, you know, like we wanted it to be a legitimate, like grassroots thing, like building from the ground up, as opposed to being like, you know, oh, it's fucking Brendan from Counterparts and Will Putney and shit. Like, here's $1 million. Like, I didn't, you know, I would feel bad about that because, you know, that shit's not fair, but it's inevitable in our world.
I think the way I've looked at it, because I've faced a very similar thing where it's like people will look at some of the bands that I play in. They're like, oh, that's only popular because Spencer does Scoped. And it's like, sure, like you can make that criticism, but I think what it comes down to at the end of the day is people might be more willing to check something out when it's dropped because of they do a zine, they run a record label, they do that kind of stuff. Of course. But if people aren't sticking around after that initial thing because your shit sucks, like that's just on you at the end of the day. So there's like a lot of, you know, bands that come out as supergroups that I'm like, that are like played in huge acts beforehand. But I'm like, of course, I'm not really vibing with this. But I like it at least opens the door to like to check it out first. Versus
for sure
a brand new band that you don't really have as many connections or
it's like it's 5 like random people and then it's like
you're bottom of the barrel at that point and you're
exactly
work up.
And you know, and I will say like like with End, like for sure that like definitely helped, and that helped, like if anything I would say like it helped like buzz and stuff, and it helped to get people kind of like talking about it. But the thing is, and like, you know, I've seen it like countless times where you have these bands that they're super groups and shit, and then they come out and it's like, you know, like flash in the pan and everybody's like, oh my God, like this is fucking crazy. And then, you know, 2 years later, they're not a fucking band anymore because they didn't actually put in the work. And that was something that was like really important to everybody in End, of just being like, you know, like I don't know why we didn't do it. Like we had plans to like riff on like the super group thing or whatever, and like make like shirts just being like not a fucking super group and stuff, and like just kind of playing that up, because it's like, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't like, you know, it doesn't necessarily matter who's in the band or who, you know, if the band's good, like you're gonna fucking like you're gonna do well. And you know, these bands that come out and like it is super group and they have like it like they are a super group and they have all these connections and, you know, shit like that. And it's like, for the first like year, probably fucking rocks. You know, it's like, oh, we didn't even have to do anything and we're getting paid $1 million. But if the music doesn't stand up, you know, if it doesn't have like lasting power, everyone's just going to be like, oh, that was like, oh yeah, like can't believe I fucked with that. Like that's fucking whack. You know what I mean? And you see it happen all the time. And so, you know, we were just like, we're taking the opposite approach. It's like, we're playing like floor shows at an abandoned vape store, like in Virginia, you know what I mean? And just like doing like that shit, like getting paid, like doing shows and getting paid $100, where it's like, there's like, wait, we can like, you know, we could probably have like asked for more, but we're like, no, we're one of 5, like $100, we'll do it. Like, we're just actually trying to like grind and make it like a long lasting thing. And you know, and I feel like that's, you know, right off the bat, it's kind of hard to differentiate between like, is this real or is this like a, you know, is this like, whatever, like theater? Is this like a, you know, is this showmanship, you know, whatever it is. But after a while, like if there's like true staying power, then like you sort of move away from that title of like, oh, super group, whatever. And it's like, and having people not know that I like sing an End, or, you know, or, you know, talking to people and they're like, wait, like Will's in End too? Like, I thought he just recorded bands. Like, you know, and it's like,
Right.
for me, it's like, yeah, I get why people wouldn't know it. But for him, I'm like, bro, like guy's fucking, he like produces everybody. Guy's got a fucking Grammy. It's like, you know, you would think people would know, but they don't. And it's like, good. I don't want to be known as like that fucking band, you know, that like put together band. That works for me, you know, for me, that's like in the K-pop shit for me. I'm like, yeah, that's why I like K-pop so much. Cause it's the opposite where it's like everything is manufactured and built. And it's like, okay, it's going to be you, and you figure it out. Here's your songs, like get good at singing and dancing. I like that in that world
Context.
In the metalcore, hardcore world, I'm like, I fucking hate it. And I like can't take any of them seriously, but you know, but yeah, it is cool. It's, you know, it's nice that it's kind of, you know, it's gone beyond just like people who like Counterparts or Fit or Will's Records or, you know, Ms. Sigs and Halud and fucking Reign Supreme and shit. Like people, you know, it's like people like the music first and then they realize, and then they're like, oh, this makes sense. Like, yeah, I guess they're all friends, that like, this is cool. And I'd much rather that than the opposite because I love money. and I'd rather take a little bit of money going, you know, an exponential growth than a big flash in the pan and then being like, oh, we're like a joke now.
Yeah.
But
I like, just on the topic of money, and this could be one of the last points before some of the other stuff I want to get to, but like, I think if you consider yourself a hardcore band, it doesn't matter if you've been playing in bands in like for 30 years or 30 minutes. Like, I think you should forever be content with being paid $100 for a show. It doesn't matter if it was the craziest fest ever or kind of a small gig, and maybe you're not getting paid anything. But I think that there is kind of that this is supposed to be underground music, and you getting paid an underground music's worth of money, depending on the context of all those things, I think is, and being like, not to be like, do you know who the fuck I am? And I played in just fuck all that noise. Like it doesn't matter if like the show is hype or not. You should just like kind of not have any sense of entitlement off of like what you should be paid, for sure.
Definitely. And I will say, I mean, like, that's very much how like we operated, like when we, like Counterparts anyway, like when we were, you know, when we first started out and everything, like we just wanted to play with bands that we liked. Like, you know, we would message promoters in fucking North Bay and be like, hey, like Textbook Tragedy is playing a show, like, can we play it? And they're like, we can't pay you. And we're like, okay, can we play or not? You know what I mean? And it's like, because we were just down for it. And like, yes, obviously you get to a certain point to where it's like, now, like with Counterparts, you know what I mean? Like there's so many moving parts with it now to where it's like, we do kind of need like a certain amount of money to like make it work.
Yeah,
but
totally.
But that doesn't, you know, like we would do that. Like, for example, like when we did Warped Tour in 2017, it's like, you know, we were getting paid decently and it was working. And then we were just like, yo, we're not having any fucking fun. We're like, this tour fucking sucks. This is bullshit. So then we would just tweet like, anybody want to let us play their house tonight? Like, we're bored. Like we played at the crack of fucking dawn and we're not doing anything. We want to get out of here. Like, yo, can we just play your basement? And people would be like, yeah. And they're like, how much money do you want? And we're like, get pizza and drinks and we're fucking there. And like, we would do that. You know what I mean? Like, it is a little bit different, especially for like, you know, if you're on tour versus like doing a one-off, like, you know, if there's like a fest that wanted us, like it would be a lot because, you know, it'd be like, we would have to have, there's the three of us that live in Hamilton. Tyler lives in LA. We would need to bring Kenny for merch. Like there's a lot of moving parts with it, I guess. But, you know, we still do that shit all the time and, you know, do like secret shows. And it's like, oh, we were like, one of the last ones we did at Chain, it's like we just wanted to play a show with Teenage Risk because we like the band. And I'm like, I just want to see them and I might not be able to. So we're doing like a secret fucking $5 show at Chain with Teenage Risk. Like we have a day off, like fuck it. And like, you know, when you're on tour, you can get away with it because you're kind of already there.
Totally.
But, you know, but it's like a lot of bands, you know, like and even still, you know, it's like I'm not like shy about the topic and stuff. It's like, you know, we can do a tour and, you know, it'll look fucking crazy like the one we just did. And it's like, you know, then at the end of it, it's like, damn, we didn't really make a lot of money. But like, would I do it again? Like, absolutely. You know, like sometimes it's not like, if you're trying to get money out of this, it's like you're in the wrong fucking genre. Like go do pop shit. Like, you know, go train and be a fucking K-pop star. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's money there because it's like, you know, it's like a manufactured product, which I love. But for this world, I'm just like, you know, every time we leave for a tour, I'm like, we'll see. Like, I don't know if I'm going to come home with any money or not, but I still fucking do it because for some reason, I still like this. I still like screaming music and I like breakdowns and, you know, and it's like, you know, but and to me, it's like that's what makes our world like so much more special than other like heavier genres because, you know, bands in our world will like do shit like that and they'll like take a hit to play with bands they like, or, you know, like they'll just make it
somewhere
work.
They've never played before.
Exactly. Or like, you know, whether it's a cool venue or a cool fest or just something. And you're like, I just want to be a part of this thing. And I don't, you know, I'm not after like a monetary gain. I'm not like trying to look cool. It's like, I just want to do this for me. Totally. And I think that's what kind of, you know, that's why the people that are in this world, that's why they care about bands like us so much, because they can tell that we're like, that's what we're about, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the point is, if it wasn't obvious, is like, you know, bands who hit a certain level, who have, you know, maybe they have a team, maybe they all have different things where they were like, look, if we are going to do this, like there needs to be certain numbers, and this could be a one-off, it could be a whole tour, it could be across continent kind of opportunity. So there's obviously different things there. But if you're, you know, if you're on, like, it's more the discussions and these are the lessons for like the people who are just in like the local band kind of thing. So like, we got paid like 150, but they said 2. It's like, just be happy that you even got to play all together. So
and you know, and a lot like, and you know, we've been burned like that for sure. And like, we've been burned by like huge, like not like, you know, the local guy doing the show in your hometown. Like we've been burned by like, you know, huge like promotion companies, and they're like, oh, I don't remember saying that. And it's like, well, it's in the contract, and like, there's nothing you can do about it, because it's like, what am I going to do? Like, take $1 billion fucking corporation to court? It's like, you kind of just have to eat the shit. But you know, that in itself, like, those are lessons, and that's when you go like, okay, we got fucked around, and like, fair, you know, like, we're not going to cause, like, I mean, I'm going to cause a stink. I did. Shout out Live Nation Australia. But like, fuck 'em. But you know, but it's like, at the end of the day, I'm like, well, I'm not going to fucking get it. So I might as well just be stoked that we got to do it, you know? And it's like, and for me, it's always been like, I always, whatever we do for both bands, it's like, I look at it, it's like, there's 2 ways this can go down. It's like, this is either going to be really fun, and I'm going to like, and I might not make any money, but it'll be, you know, a sick tour. It'll be a sick fest. Like, and I don't care about the money. Or it's like, I know this is going to be fucking terrible, so I need to get paid. You know what I mean? And it's kind of just like navigating between the two. And that's not to say that, you know, you can't like have a lot of fun and get paid out the ass, because that happens sometimes too. But you know, sometimes
that's kind of like the flip side, 1% kind of section of the pie chart for sure. Yeah.
And there's times where it's like, you know, you're like, oh, this wasn't fun and I made $0. And it's like, you just gotta, it's like a lesson. But for me personally, like, I'm always down to like do more fun shit, because like, that's why we started the band. That's why I'm still here. It's like, you know, I would take fun over money any day. If I wanted money, I would do something else. But you know, like going back on like what you just said, like, I'm seeing it on my Instagram all day today, a million videos. It's like, dude, Taking Back Sunday played fucking, I'm pretty sure it's like Chris.
I saw that.
Like Chris from fucking Backtrack and King 9. Like, I'm pretty sure they played his backyard last night in Long Island. And it's like, bro, like, they have a fucking platinum record. Like, they don't need to do shit like that.
They are
and it's
arena rock band level status.
And it's like, why are they doing it? Because it's fucking fun. because it's fun. It's fun to do shit like that. And I think whenever bands lose that aspect and it just becomes about money, it's very obvious, you know, but then it's just like, yeah, it's like, why are you fucking doing it? Why are you even doing it? Like, you know, you can get money, go rob a fucking bank. You know what I mean? It's like, this shit is fun. That's why we all started playing music, was for fun. And I wanted to keep it, you know, and there's been times where I've been like broke as fuck. And I'm like, yo, if this tour doesn't make money, I'm going to fucking, yeah, I'm gonna blow my brains out. Like I'm so poor, but like at the end of it, I'm like, I'll figure it out. Like, did I have a good time? Like, yeah, it's one of the best tours we ever did. And I'm like, sometimes that's enough, you know?
Sometimes that's enough. That's beautifully said. I want to go back to, you know, we're talking about having fun, and we were talking a little bit earlier about having, you know, the different isms that might happen on stage that kind of add to the, not even just the Counterparts charm, but just the Brendan Murphy charm. There's
I don't think I'm like, that charming, but thank you for saying that.
Something that I saw, because sometimes you'll have the I'll see different one-off little, you know, things that that either you would have said just like instead of something else, but something I think I was watching like a montage video of just like different Counterparts moments, and something I saw a few times was you replacing certain lyrics with "everybody eats."
Yeah, that was
where does that stem from?
I don't know. That was a thing with like that was from like one of the first Private Room tours that we did. Like it was like when, because so before that tour we did a tour. It was like Amir, King 810, us, and Burials, and we just became like really good friends with Burials. And then that was like some shit that like they said. And it was like, you know, I'm like, I hope I have like the meaning right, but it's like, yo, like, you know, like if I'm eating, like everyone's eating, like me and all my boys are eating. Like if we're like,
you want everyone to be taken care of,
having fun, everyone like everyone's getting taken care of, and that just kind of became like, you know, like a catchphrase between the bands, I think. And so anywhere that like, you know, like I would fit it into like No Servant or something. Like it'd be like turn your back and flee, bending over backwards to make sure everybody eats, like just shit that would like rhyme and stuff. And like I love doing that, and I love to like do it, you know, with like if something's happening in the crowd and I can like I don't know, maybe it's because I used to watch like King of the Dot a lot, and like the freestyle aspect of battle rap, I'd be like, yo, I can like work stuff in. There's one where like we played in the Philippines and like Tyler fell down on stage, and instead of like what to believe anymore in Compass, I said like Tyler's ass is on the floor. Like I love doing that shit, because it's just like if you nail it, it's like it's funny, you know what I mean? And I love to like, you know, like if we were in Scotland and instead of like No Servant, I was like disgusting, like the fucking video.
Disgusting.
Yeah, and like I'm trying to think of some other fucking. Instead of like Murder You Myself and Unwavering Vow, I got on like a weird like Flintstones kick. I don't know why. Like not even Flintstones, just like I think one day I was just like, yo, imagine something sick happening, and instead of being like, yo, that's sick, you just say like, oh, yabba dabba do, like that rocks. And then I became like obsessed with it. And then instead of like the Murder You Myself, it was like yabba dabba do, like shit like that. And just like I love like just changing shit and like adding something in there, because it's you know, honestly, it's like, you know, it's gonna sound fucking lame, and you know, it's gonna be like contradictory to like how I talk to our fans on stage and stuff, but when I do shit like that and I see people in the crowd like laugh and like look at their friends and start like cracking up, I'm like, that's the best thing for me. Like that's like that to me, like, you know, that's more to me than like having the crowd go crazy and having people like mosh and beat each other up. Like if I can make the crowd laugh, I'm like, okay, I did my job. Like I'm, you know,
in the midst of like the craziest breakdown that someone's hearing, you know.
Sure, yeah, and it's like, and I also love that, like, you know, it's always been a thing with Counterparts where it's like the lyrics themselves are like very serious, and like that's the only time in my life, like every couple of years when we have to do a record, that's when I'm serious. But you know, it's like I do it and I'm like, okay, like you got me. I tried. I made it serious. I'm not fucking around. Now I'm fucking around. So for the rest of, you know, up until I have to do this again, I'm making my fucking jokes and that's it. And I love doing it because like, you can tell, you know what I mean? Like I look out at the crowd and like, even now when it's like, I like make fun of the crowd on stage and shit, it's like more like 99% of the time I look out and I see everybody laughing and they know I'm kidding. And then, yeah, every once in a while, there's like one person in the back just like, I can't believe you would say that. This guy's an asshole. But I don't even have to like defend myself because our like fan base would just be like, he's kidding, you fucking idiot. He does it every night. And like, I don't even have to like try and, you know, pull him back. And then they just go, oh, okay, I guess this is like a bit. Like when we played the last tour, like when we played Winnipeg, I was worried like Winnipeg, you know, it had like low, we've only ever played Winnipeg with like Comeback Kid and shit. So it's like, obviously like, I was gonna say like, obviously it's like, oh no shit, the Winnipeg show is like fucking crazy for Comeback Kid. But we did it, you know, ourselves this time. And the pre-sale was like kind of low and I was like worried. And the show was fucking awesome. Like it was packed, it was crazy. And I was like being genuinely nice. And I like in between songs, like I'm like, yo, like for real though, like I was scared for the show. I didn't know if it was going to be good, but like, this is fucking awesome. Like, thank you guys. And then people started clapping and then everyone in the crowd started chanting like make fun of us or like, be more mean. And I was like, I'm like, you know, and I love that because I'm like, cool. I know everybody knows it's like a bit. Like I'm not actually going on stage and being like, oh, like I hate your guts. You're all fucking terrible. Like, I mean, I say that, but everybody knows it's like a bit. And it's like, you know, it stems from touring with, you know, metalcore bands back in the day. And the vocalists are like, you know, they're like, oh, like, are you guys fucking ready? Like, we love you. Like, this is our favorite city. And I'm like, bro, there's like 6 people here. So then I would like, so we would go on stage and I'd be like, yo, y'all are looking fucking tired tonight. Kind of boring me, huh? And it's like, I kind of mean it, but I'm like, that's how I get over it. Like, I'm not actually mad. I'm just like, this is funny. Like, I'm just going to call it like it is. And people hated it for a while. And now it's like become the thing to where if I'm being genuine and I'm like, yo, for real, like, this is crazy. Like, this is our first time here. Thank you guys so much. Everyone's like, make fun of us. Like, say something mean.
Where's the joke?
Like, I'm like, well, bro, I'm like, okay, yeah, like you're all fucking hideous. Like, what do you want from me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's, I like that it's become like a bit now. And now it's like at the point where if I'm like, if I don't say anything on stage, like most people are like, ooh, he's not doing good. Like something's up with him. Like he hasn't called us ugly or poor or made or you know, called us boring or made fun of us. Everyone's just, you know, everyone's like, oh crap, I think he's like actually going through it. And I love that for us because, you know, as long as I don't want people to actually be like, oh, this guy's an ass, because it's like, I'm not. I'm just trying to make you guys laugh. Because every other vocalist will be like, you guys are the best and I'm having so much fun. I'd rather be like, ooh, like little fucking sleepy today, huh? Like, all right, fuck it. I guess we'll cut some songs. But you also earned it
from like playing like God knows how many shows, like from all the way back in the early days.
For sure.
And
yeah,
but I don't know. It's definitely, it makes my heart warm being from Winnipeg that the show was sick, even despite having any like Comeback Kid pull associated with it.
For sure. And I mean, like, and so the tour that we just did, it was the one, it was like us, like Moss to Flames, Boundaries, and Omerta, and it was like, you know, we had just done the headliner like last year, and we have the Prada tour coming up, so it's like there's a bunch of radius clauses. So when we did the tour, like it was like a B and like maybe even C market tour, but you know, the reason why we did it is because, you know, it's like, yeah, obviously we can play a fucking show in like New York or LA or Toronto or London, and it's like it's going to be crazy, but like, you know, I understand that, like, as much as I make fun of it when we announce a show and everyone, or a tour, and everyone's like, oh, like you're playing fucking Toronto and you're not playing London. And I'm like, it's 90 minutes, motherfucker. Like, just figure it out. Like, as much as I love doing that, it's like, yeah, like, you know, there is something to be said about how like those, like the B markets, and like, I'm, you know, and when I say that, I'm like, I'm not trying to make fun of the city by any means and say like, yeah, you guys aren't as good as the A markets. It's just like, that's what it's referred to. Like, that's what it was. That's how it was presented to us. It's like, you're not playing like, you know, like a 1,500 cap venue in New York, you know, New York City or Toronto. You're going to be playing, you know, a 500 cap in, I don't know, Ohio somewhere. And it's like, but you know, you can't neglect those cities. Like, you know, they exist. And it's like, if you just, you know, a lot of people that listen, you know, it's like, I feel like a lot of people that listen to our band, they live in those cities. And it's like, a lot of them do drive and they do travel for the show. And it's like, you know, yeah, like they're the reason why the A market shows sell as well as they do, because you've got 500 fucking kids driving 2 hours to come to the show. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, yo, we want to, you know, we want to like give it back to you guys, because it's like, you know, we wouldn't have the A market shows do as well as they do without you guys. So that's why we did it. And, you know, yeah, seeing the routing, I was like, man, I'm like, some of these places are like, I'm like, this show's going to suck. This is going to be fucking terrible. Like, oh my God, we haven't played here in 10 years, all this shit. And we were all like freaking out about it. And then like, you know, then we kind of had this mindset of like, well, even if they suck, like we gotta make our own fun. We gotta have fun somehow. So like we're doing it. And then a week into the tour, I was like, this tour's fucking smashing. Like it rocks. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, no shit. Like obviously there's going to be less people at like a Counterparts headline show in Billings, Montana than in Toronto. It's like, there's no one's going to be shocked by that, but like you got to do it. And then it makes those people like want to travel when you play the A market city. You know what I mean? And it's like, you got to like give back to those people. And I mean, especially for us too, because it's like, we're from Hamilton. Like Hamilton, maybe back in the day, it was like an A market, but you know, it was always Toronto. And it's like, you know, people are either playing like, you know, it's like Canadian tours, like, yeah, we're doing Montreal and Toronto. So we'd have to travel. And it's like, you know, so for us, we were just like, yo, let's do something for the people, you know, like it'll be nice for all these people that drive 2 hours every time we play near them to be like, oh, I can Uber and it'll be $9.
Right.
You know, when I play their city. And, you know, and that's
the 401, like, and get home an hour later or anything like that. So,
exactly. Yeah. And like, you know, so I love doing that. And, you know, we all went into it. We were all skeptical and we were all just like, you know, I don't know if this is going to be good. Like, might be like a waste of time or whatever. Like, not a waste of time, but it's like, you know, this might fucking bankrupt us. Like, I don't know how this is going to go. And then we did it. And it was like that, you know, that's got to be in like the top 5, like best tours that we've ever done. Like I had so much fun on that tour. I love everyone in those bands. Like we all got along. It was fucking awesome. And it's like, you know, it goes to show like, you know, you don't always have to do like big shit where you're going to make $1 million, because I had more fun arguably on that tour than I did on the Eulogy headliner, which is like, yeah, it was way bigger and like a bunch of sold out shows. And it was like fucking massive. And yeah, I made $1 million fucking dollars, but like, you know, but you know what I mean? But it's like, I was in a better mindset because I just went into it being like, I'm just going to make my own fun. I don't fucking care. Like I'm having fun. So hopefully other people are. And that in itself is important. And I think when bands lose that, you know, that's when people kind of stop caring, you know. It's like, as much as I call screaming music fans like dumbasses and stuff like that, but it's like, you know, for the most part, like you can tell, people can see through it, you know. They can see through who's like doing it because they still love it and think it's fun, and they can see who's doing it for like a fucking paycheck and just to be big. And, you know, I think I'm fortunate enough to where, you know, both my bands were not like that. It's like, we're doing it because it's fun and we just want to play music. And that's cool to me anyway. But
so to make sure that I have at least one question that ties to the new record, because I know that there will be someone be like, how could you have Brendan on not say anything about it? Just speaking more as a fan, I was like listening to it, like obviously when it first dropped, and then like, you know, a couple times kind of prepping for this, it genuinely feels like y'all really took the best aspects of all areas of Counterparts and just like put it into one thing. And like, there's definitely moments where it brings me right back to how I fell in love with you guys, like when I was first hearing the stuff off of Prophets to all the stuff that it is like most recent, like, you know, stuff to this day. So I guess like when, you know, when you're bringing in like, you know, Jesse and like people that were writing those initial records back into the mix of things, was that intentional, or did it just kind of come together in that way where it's like, oh, we're both in the past and in
Yep.
the future at the same time?
I mean, it kind of like a little bit of both, you know, like it was like it, I mean, Jesse like rejoining the band and stuff, like even, you know, for like, for, what is it like, you know, like for You're Not You, Jesse wasn't around to like help write that. That was Alex. And then Nothing Left to Love, it was both of them before they rejoined and stuff. And like, you know, it's like, that's like the weird thing with Counterparts, I think, is like, you know, pretty much consistently for like the entirety of our career, we've had the same sort of like core songwriters. Like it's always kind of been like Jesse, Alex, and then we had Blake, and, you know, and it's like we're just kind of adding to it, you know, and then it's like all of a sudden, like, you know, Tyler's like, hey, I want to try and like write a song. And like he wrote like what became Mass Grave. And it's like, that's like my favorite fucking Counterpart song. And, you know, and it's like, and I'm like, dude, why didn't, you know, I'm talking to everyone and I'm like, what, like, you know, you didn't want to write before? And they're like, no, it's just like scary. Like it's fucking like what if I write something bad? And I'm like, well, you wrote the fucking album closer. Like you wrote like arguably like the best Counterpart song ever. And, you know, and having Kyle do shit. And like, I think what it was is everybody kind of like taking like a step away from, you know, being like Tyler, let's say for example, or Kyle, where it's like, well, I play bass in Counterparts. So like, why would I write guitar? And Kyle being like, well, I play drums. Like, I'm not going to write songs on guitar. But having both of them be like, well, I'm going to try it. Cause you know, I've got some ideas and I want to fuck with them. And then you throw them in the mix with like, with Alex and Jesse and everybody. And then it's like, it became more of like a collaborative thing instead of what it was at first, where it would kind of just be like, you know, oh, there's like a Dropbox and Jesse has like, you know, 10 songs in there and Alex has 5 and we're going to pick the best like 10 out of 15 and like run with it. Right. It became like everybody was doing shit. And we were like doing pre-production stuff where it's like, we'd all go to Jesse's house and like work on shit together. And like, I play guitar, but I'm not like very good. But you know, even me, like I would be sitting there. I never did that. I would always just wait for the fucking pre-pro to be done and be like, this is the song. And I would try to write to it.
Right.
And then I would be there and be like, yo, what if the breakdown did this? Or like, what if we brought this part back and made it like a chorusy type thing? And it was just like, with Eulogy, it was just very more like collaborative. And I think like that is really only something that you can do after you've done so many records and we've been a band for a long time, to where it's like, you know, and I've said this before, but it's like, it's like become a thing to where it's like, yes, we're Counterparts and we're writing Counterparts songs, and like whatever we write and put out, like that's a Counterpart song technically. But like at this point, it's like, it's like Counterparts itself has kind of moved past that to where it's like, we know what it should sound like. You know what I mean? Like we know that that we're really good at doing this, and you know, this stuff that we've tried in the past, like it never really lands. So like, let's just fucking cut it and let's just like focus on what we're good at. And, you know, and like, there is still like an element of like trying, you know, we still try new things out, and, you know, like having like the slow, like singy songs and shit, like, you know, Skim Beneath the Scar or whatever. And like me, I'm like, I don't know how to fucking sing. Like I had to like learn how to do it. I had to like get close enough with Will where it's like, you know, I can track a song screaming in like an hour, but like the singing parts, I'm like, oh, I've been trying to nail the fucking chorus of Mass Grave for 6 hours. And I'm just like, I'm done now. This is stupid. But it's like, you know, we still do try new things. And it's like, and even then, you know, we do them and then we like take a step back and go like, is this logical? Does this make sense? Like, is this what Counterparts is supposed to be doing? Like, you know, and there's always going to be that little element of like, we might throw something in like a little weird and be like, well, we like it, so kiss my ass, you know, but for the most part, it's like, you know, and I've said this before, I'm just like, well, I'm not going to I don't want to like change up and like completely do something new, because, you know, that works for some bands, you know, record 3, they go ape shit and it's like completely different. And then they're massive and they're the biggest band in the world. But more often than not, bands do that. And then they end up like not alienating their old fans, but like, you know, it's like they had their demographic and now it's different. So it's like then they have to kind of deal with that, like not backlash, but like a little bit of a fallout, and people being like, well, I only like the first couple, and they got all weird and shit. And I just never wanted to do that. Like, I wanted to take the route of like being consistent and just trying to make the band better, and being like, the band is this thing, even though it's us, it's its own thing, and we need to like do it justice. And I think that's why you have bands like that have been around forever and like they're still doing well. You know what I mean? It's like bands like Silverstein and like Devil Wears Prada and like Etid and fucking Converge and like, you know, like all these bands that have just been doing this for years and years. And, you know, there's like, yeah, maybe they're not like fucking massive, but it's like, you know, they're not doing arenas, but you know, it's not like there's less people coming to their shows. Like, their core fan base is still there and they're always going to fuck with it. And that's always been like really important to me, because, you know, yeah, at the same time, it's like, if I wanted to do something that different, we could all just be like, hey, we're going to do another band on the side too. And like, we'll be pop, I guess. Like, I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? And we would just do that. But it's like, Counterparts is like its own element, and we're not going to like fuck with that. You know, if we want to get experimental, we can just do something else. You know, we can start other bands, we can have side projects, we can do shit. But I think that was really important with this record. And, you know, and just being able to be like, this is, you know, and I, like I've said it in other interviews and stuff, and like even in like the press release and stuff, like, you know, we have been doing it for a while, and I didn't know how the record was going to go over. And I mean, anytime, you know, to be fair, everyone always gives me shit, but like every time we do a record, I'm like, oh, I think this might be it. I don't know if anyone's going to like it. Like, I guess we got to fucking break up. I always do that. But, you know, I think with Eulogy, like, I tried to write it from the perspective of like, if this is the last record that we do, I want it to be like a big one. Like, I want to go out with a fucking bang. You know what I mean? I think we all did. And then, you know, for better or for worse, we did the fucking record and everyone loved it. And now we're the biggest we've ever been. So I'm like, all right, you'll get one more, I guess. Yeah, it's like, okay. Like, I'm like, all right, we're not going to break up. Like, you know, you'll at least get one more for sure.
Yeah.
Unless, I don't know, unless I like lose my voice or something. But yeah, that was really important to us. And just like, you know, sort of not reinventing the wheel, but just like, you know, not reinventing the wheel, but just putting some like nice rims on it. You know, if that makes sense. Like, just like, you know, we're not trying to like do anything crazy. We're just trying to do what we do good and do it better. And that's, and I think like that resonated with a lot of our fans. And I think a lot, like, you know, you're always going to get the random dipshit that's going to be like, you know, Current's my favorite. And I'm like, I'm happy for you, go nuts, but like that shit sucks. But for the most part, I feel like it was kind of unanimous to where everybody was like, yeah, Eulogy's like the fucking Counterparts record. But that's just something you learn, you know? Like, I wish Eulogy was like album 3. That'd be fucking crazy. But instead we've got, you know, we got a couple other tries.
Special though, you know, like
definitely. Yeah. I don't think it would have been, you know, there's something about like the desperation in it, not like desperate to like get people to like us, but just this, you know, overwhelming feeling of just like, I don't know if I have it in me anymore to like do this stuff. I mean, they'll like the other guys, they'll always be able to write music. Like, there's no fear of that. But me personally, like from a lyrical standpoint, I went at it as if like, I don't know, like, you know, I've written, that's like what, Counterparts record, like 7. And then there's like 2, there's like an end EP, there's a split, there's a fucking 2, there's a full length, there's another one that hasn't come out yet. It's like, you know, writing stuff, just being like, damn, like, I don't know how much I like have this in me. Like, I don't know if I can like do this, and feeling desperate and being like, oh my God, like, I just want this to land. And I just want people to like, you know, to kind of like get me and understand what I'm trying to say. And I think when we put Eulogy out, like, I felt understood personally. And I feel like the guys, like, you know, all the other guys that write the music, like they did too. And something did change. Like, it went from, you know, we were like, yeah, they're cool, whatever. Like, we're like 2 of 4 band to like, playing our biggest shows. It's like, we did Toronto on the Eulogy, like North America headliner. And it's like, oh, biggest Counterpart show, like 1,300 kids. And then a month later, we do the Eulogy Europe UK tour. And it's like, oh, we beat it. We got 1,500 in the UK. And it's like, it was something switched, and I don't know what it is. Or like, I don't know if it was like a conscious decision on our part, but like something happened. And like, I think people like appreciate it or like take us more seriously now. And we're like viewed as like a, more of like, we're not like the little underdog, like little brother band anymore, where it's like, oh, this band rocks, but like, they're not like, they do okay. It's like, now we're like doing big shit, and it's fucking awesome to see. And I had no idea that was going to happen. And now moving forward, I'm like, well, yeah, we're not going to fucking break up now. I'm like, hell no. Like,
hell no.
How do you do that? Like, how do you have like your biggest show, headline show ever 1 month, and then beat it a month later? It's like, it'd be fucking brain dead to be like, no, I'm done, guys,
Yeah.
But it's nice because we did kind of have that like underdog thing hanging over our head, and like, yeah, like kids really like them and their sets are crazy, but like, can they headline? Like, can they pull kids? We always had that.
Right.
And it like, it's petty of me for sure, but like, it feels really good, like proving people wrong. And, doing tours where it's like, we'll do some shit or like play some fests or whatever. And it's like, again, going back, like, not that money is the only thing that matters, but like, we'll see the thing and I'll see like our guarantee for playing a show. And I'm like, that's insane. I'm like, dude, we're playing 1,000 cap venue. Like, how are they only paying us that much? Like, we're going to lose that much in gas. Like, this is crazy. But then we have a back end deal, and it's like, oh, we get 80% of like net of tickets after expenses. And then I watch these promoters that tried to lowball us because they're like, I don't know about Counterparts. And then they have like, it's like our guarantee goes from like, they're paying us €1,000 to like, with back end, they're giving us like a €10,000 check. And I'm like, don't doubt me, motherfucker. Like, if you would have said 5 flat, I would have been like, oh, this is amazing. And it's like, no, you kind of doubted the band, and it's like, all right, pay up,
yeah,
bitch.
That's the DJ Khaled, congratulations, you've played yourself moment.
And and like, don't get me wrong, like I don't mean that in like I'm not trying to like be a dick about it. It's just like, I don't blame them. Yeah, like, I mean, historically, like, yeah, for example, that Europe tour, it's like, I didn't think it was going to be that fucking big. I didn't think every show, aside from like 2, were going to sell out, because we haven't had the history there. It hasn't been that good for us. So I understand why they were reserved and shit, but it just bums me out now, because it's like, now the next time we headline there, they're going to be like, oh, no fucking back end shit. Like, we're giving them a flat rate. If we eat it, we eat it, whatever. But like, it happened at like a really good time when I think we were all like, especially coming out of COVID, we were all a little bit like disheartened, and we were like, what are we going to do? How much longer can we fucking do this? This is crazy. Like, our world got shut down, and it's like, fuck, guess I should go to school or something. Like, can't do this forever. And then going into it and having this reaction and like feeling the love and like feeling like appreciated, I guess, let's say, like the last few, like since we put out Eulogy, like this has been like my favorite era of being in Counterparts. Like, I'll always miss the old days and shit, but like this feels good. And it feels like, okay, like I said, we'd be crazy to stop now. So I hope I won't, but if all the guys that write the music quit, I'm probably fucking out. But because Lord knows I can't do that.
Right.
But it feels really good to be where we're at and stuff. And it's like, it's just crazy. Like going from being like feeling like we got overshadowed by other bands and stuff, to going to be like, yo, we're like getting treated very well. And like, people actually take us seriously as much as I don't. Like, as much as I think it's a goof, it's nice that, these like fests and promoters and stuff.
Past the goof. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, I mean, the guy's goofy as fucking shit. He's like brain dead, but it's Counterparts and they're worth tickets. So I got to treat them right. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Yeah. It's been really good.
Yeah. Obviously I have a huge bias being a fan of your band, and have been a fan like pretty much since day one, album one kind of era. But I think you guys have like stayed the course with your guys' music and haven't really like changed it up too mainstream wise, try to pander. I've always loved seeing you guys, so it's finally it just makes me happy to see bands that, you know, whether I've been playing, like friends of mine in other scenes are like, I don't get this band. It's like sometimes it just takes some time for someone to be like,
of course,
I get it.
Yeah.
And not to say that everyone likes to like a certain band if they've been around for 7 albums.
No.
It's like,
but sometimes that's what it takes. And I mean, I still get stuff where it's like, you know, like I'll talk to people and they'll be like, I didn't even know that you were in a band, let alone two. I just thought you were like the funny Twitter guy, but I like listen to your bands and it's sick. And like, you know, people coming up being like, yeah, you know, like we played together when you put out like, when you were on like Current or Hell and Home and I didn't really get it, but like, you know, Eulogy, I love it. Or like, you know, even Tragedy or whatever, like, you know, like you can't force people. Like sometimes it does just take a little bit of time, and I would rather it take time and, you know, have it happen the way it happened than kind of come out and have our like little moment. And then it's like, oh yeah, we moved on to something else. And everybody else is kind of, you know, it's like, oh yeah, we don't really fuck with this band anymore. Like they like flash in the pan type shit. And it's like, and also I'm glad that it happened for my sake, because if I'm a fucking dickhead now, Lord knows what would happen if we didn't have to work for it. You know what I mean? Like now it's like, at least I can, you know, I'm not like an actual dickhead. I'm just like fucking around. But if, you know, hey, if we put out, you know, Profits and blew up and were huge, I'd probably be like a cocksucker. You know what I mean? Like I'd be an asshole. But I'm glad that everything happened the way it did. It took a long time, but I'm happy with it. And I don't think I've been this happy to be the singer of Counterparts, but I am now, you know? And I'm like, it feels like it legitimately paid off, and it feels fucking awesome.
That's very sick. I have a few other kind of fun questions to kind of end our chat. You still fuck with Milk Duds?
All the time.
All the time. Goated?
Yo, for sure. They like hurt your teeth. I don't know if it's like maybe because I got something going on. I got like bad teeth, but like they kind of hurt, but it feels really good. And I love caramel. So it's a no-brainer. Milk Duds are top tier.
Are Milk Duds Canadian?
No, I think I feel like I never had them ever until we started touring the States. And then like now they're here now, like you can get them at like Shoppers and shit. But yeah, I remember like every time we would do a
Hershey
tour.
Product, so
Are they? Yeah, I feel like if they were in Canada, I might not have ever noticed them. But there was a period of time, like the first couple tours, it'd be like we would cross the border. I would stop at the first gas station and I would look for like Milk Duds and like a fucking lime cucumber Gatorade. And I'd be like, that was I'm like, cool. I'm back in God's country. Like I got to get my snacks. But yeah, I love them. They're the best.
Yeah, they're so good. I think as soon as I saw a post dedicated to Milk Duds, essentially, like as far as not like my name's Brendan and I love Milk Duds, but it was just subtly on the nose. It was like that. Yep. That's fantastic.
They're the best. I love them. And like people get them as like a gift. Like, you know, Kenny will come in and be like, oh, somebody like tip me with a box of Milk Duds for you and shit. And I'm just like, sick. Like that rocks.
Sick.
You know,
love that.
Someone gave me like sour cream and onion chips. I'd be like, yo, you can fucking keep them. But you know what I mean?
Did you know that there's someone in Kentucky who has your Instagram handle as their license plate?
No. I wanted that. Fuck.
Check that out. You see that?
Oh, fuck. Wait a minute. Oh, they might have tagged me in it. I know. It's funny. I'm pretty sure like
this has like one like.
and it was posted on my birthday. So there you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, April 27th.
April 27th?
Crazy.
Let's go.
Hey, belated birthday gift. I love it. That's nuts, but I wonder if because if they have that, even though they have a Kentucky plate, does that mean that at some point, if I have an Ontario plate, I can't have that? I don't know. If I wanted to get that as my license plate for my car, would would I not be able to, or because it's like maybe because they're like theirs is a Kentucky plate and mine would be an Ontario
so
plate.
you're saying
maybe I could do it, but
if
I don't know.
have ABC123 as my license plate, there can't be another one.
There can't be another one
in a different part of the world.
Maybe I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like you should be able to do that. I feel like there's simply not enough combinations to for the whole world. It would just be a matter of like, yeah, if the cops were looking, they'd be like, oh, the license plate's BJM 905, and they'd be like Ontario
like, which state?
or Kentucky. That's fucking sick though. It's funny. Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure Cam, like he used to play bass and sing in Teenage Wrist. He has a new band called Heavenward. He's in this thing Chain Gang. I think it's like 1974, I believe. It's close enough to 1975, but he was first. I'll give him that. But yeah, he like one of the first time, like when we met, because I was like bigging up like Teenage Wrist all over the internet, and we met, and I think he like showed me his like license plate was like Hell and Home, and I was like, God damn it! I'm like, dude, mine's like fucking, like it looks like a fucking Wordle.
Yeah, I was like, don't say it like, on the podcast. Don't.
I'm like, fuck, like, I literally don't even know what it is. Like every time I go to park, I have to like get out of my car and look at it and be like, oh, that's it. I want a funny fucking license plate, but good. Hey, if I can't get BJM 905 and they beat me, they deserve it. Easy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Shout out to Cleany 1976. They probably like the fact that this was posted on your birthday. I'm sure that was subtly intentional.
It might have been a birthday gift. Okay, I'll take it though. That's fucking sick.
That's a Klein thing. Don't send me a fucking pair of socks. Just get your license plate as my Instagram handle.
That's what I mean. The only thing that worries me is like if they like smash a fucking car or something. Like if they just like fall asleep at the wheel and like smoke a car, and then the person, like someone gets back to their fucking car that's like parked out front, and they're like, what the fuck is this or whatever, and they like, someone's like, I got the license plate, it was BJM 905, and they look it up. Like I don't want to get a message being like, you smoked my Tesla, you fucking asshole. And I'm just like, yo, it wasn't me. Like I don't live in Kentucky, but I mean, nothing's happened yet, so fuck it. I hope the cops don't show up and they're like, hey buddy, next time you want to do a drive-by, maybe don't put your Instagram handle as your license plate.
And you're like, come again?
And I'm like, I beg your pardon. I'm like,
yeah.
But
do you want some milk?
That's sick though.
Just kidding.
Yeah, straight up.
So
can I get milk duds in jail?
No, not those kind of milk duds.
No, probably not. Yeah. But
so one last section that I have here, and this kind of goes to what you were saying. If like someone was to Google your username as someone smoking them with the Kentucky plate, would you say that your name is pretty unique or pretty generic?
Like my actual like in the
Brendan
sense
Murphy? Of like searchability.
Oh,
yes.
there's so many. Like there's so many Brendan Murphys. Like I look it up, and like not even there's so many Brendan Murphys that are like musicians too. Like there's like some like indie folk guy in Ireland and shit. Like there was like a thing where I think I was like with SoCan, like our royalty thing. Like I'm pretty sure I was like getting his like royalty statements on my SoCan for a minute. I mean, it was a whopping fucking 89 cents, but you're not getting it back, Brendan Murphy. It's my fucking money.
Yeah.
But
this Arizona can
there's him, and then
mine.
There was a period like during COVID, I guess in Australia, like the Minister of Health or something, his name is Brendan Murphy, like spelled the same and everything. And so people would be like tweeting at me like about like health shit and being like, oh, you're like fucking locking us down again or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, look at my fucking Twitter. I'm like, you think anybody with a government job is going to be posting like, I want Diane from Twice to marry me? You know what I mean? It's like, wait, shut up. But like, you know what I mean? It's just like, bro, like just read the fucking shit. It's like, obviously it's not me, but like there was one, it was crazy. Like someone tweeted at me being like you will be responsible for all the deaths, like you fucking murderer or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I went to their Twitter and looked, and they were from Australia, and they were talking about like that guy. And I just responded back being like, yo, like wrong Brendan Murphy, man. Like, I'm like, I didn't fucking, I'm not telling you to fucking, wear a mask at the mall. Like, it's not my problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's definitely not a unique name for sure. I feel like there's,
the reason I ask is just because I try to do as much research with all of my guests is, sometimes I search the name and then I found all these Brendan clones. So I think, oh, that's the wrong screen to share. Let me go here. I think
this is going to be, yeah.
We'll get to that one in a second. So the first one is Brendan Guy Murphy, who is an actor from the hit movies like Wastelander, Easy Rider 2, The Ride Home, and Juice 2, Hot Import Nights.
Easy Rider 2, The Ride Home. Yeah. Is that him?
Can you hear this audio?
I can hear it.
Oh, you can? Okay.
I hope it's not the bald guy.
It is the bald guy.
Ah, damn it. Well, hey, at least people will be able to tell us apart for sure.
Yeah. So,
Jesus Christ,
that's pretty good. He's got some chops.
Brendan Guy Murphy.
Brendan Guy Murphy.
Is there a Brendan Girl Murphy? Or?
Oh, we'll see. The next out is Brendan Murphy, the artist who got interviewed by Grant Cardone.
This is the fucking NFT guy, like the fucking.
Oh yes,
like
he's
like
the
whatever.
Opposite
like
of you, he's got the dad sweater. You're
he's a dad and he does NFTs. I'm literally the opposite. I'm broke and I don't have sperm in my nuts anymore.
Star artist.
Yeah, I would also with the crypto shit, like when it was like really popping off and like everybody was buying stuff, like people would send me pictures of like that fucking astronaut guy, the architect's fucking cover.
This guy.
Yeah. And they would send it to me and be like, oh, like, thank you for like my NFT or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, not even close. But yeah, I would see this guy too. Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
Interesting. Yeah. So this is well, I just want to go back to Brendan Guy Murphy for a second. That video that we just watched has 63 views.
63.
I would say 5 of those are mine because I was just like perplexed by this guy.
Yep. I will say this, and I don't mean it to come across as egotistical, but maybe aside from the Australian guy, I like to think as far as internet presence goes, I'm probably, if people are looking up Brendan Murphy, they're probably trying to find my Twitter.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. There's some contenders on this list, so let's not speak
all right,
to.
Let's go.
Okay, so next up, we have Brendan Murphy, the horse racer.
Jesus Christ. Oh, this kid's fucked. Is there sound for this one?
Oh, can you not hear it anymore? I
was going to say, this one I can't hear.
Oh, maybe I think it's because
maybe the volume's just low.
Here.
Either way, I'm sure he's not saying anything particularly.
Very competitive. This lad's a 6-year-old. Brennan's town Maximilian. Not older than 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
But
let's see him in action.
To the later stages, it was already quick. So
look at him go.
Risks down there to come out on top, and luckily it paid off.
And then the sponsors spent.
Well,
I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna. I mean, horses scare the fucking shit out of me, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm not made of stone. That's impressive. Like, jump the fucking thing with I tried to jump like a parking lot, like, the dividers that like separate the spots. I tried to jump one with my Honda Civic one time and I didn't make it. So this guy did it on a horse. Good for him.
We have Brendan Murphy, the Houston Astros baseball pitcher.
Yeah, so this is just me and Adrian Lee. Yeah.
Oh, I guess
this is just us trying to figure out what we're going to eat for dinner.
Who is this on the left?
I wish his name was Brendan. I wish
it's probably Brandon. There's probably a Brandon in this.
I would take that, but I wish so bad that they were like, oh yeah, this is the whatever Space City or Houston Astros mascot, Brendan Murphy, and it's that green fucking guy. That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next up we have Brendan Murphy, the football player.
I did play football.
You did?
This is where we can.
Is
get
this you?
confused. Yeah. No, definitely not.
Okay.
No, I played football in like the 6th grade. I was a rotund little gentleman. This guy's way skinnier than I was.
Were you a linebacker?
No, I was a tight end on the offensive line. Yeah, they gave me
Look
the
at you
dumb
now.
one. They were like,
The
"You're
dumb
not."
one.
They're like, "You're not going near the fucking ball. Just there's a guy in front of you. Just try not to let him get past." And I'd be like, "Okay, sure." But hey, shout out this guy.
Yeah.
CFL too. So he's Canadian.
He's a CF. Yeah. And so I don't know where Western University is, but
I think that's London. I think it's near us.
get the fuck out.
Yeah, that's crazy. 6
He's
foot,
like
220 pounds. Couldn't fucking be me.
Yeah.
I'm like 5
I also
foot
like that
on a good day.
I'm not trying to dox him, but his email is Brendan BM Murphy because
Jesus.
Very
It's like
fun.
it's like so close to mine too.
It's so
fucking
close.
It's crazy.
It's like maybe a future you that time traveled and then made an alternative, like one of yourself that's
didn't like
end up playing in bands.
If when the doctor when I was young told my parents like, yeah, I think he has ADD, and they got me on the right medication in time, this would probably be me, and I wouldn't be screaming. I'd be on the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So.
We have Brendan, the power lifter entrepreneur.
Welcome back.
Oh God, dude,
on
the
some
fucking
podcast.
dude, the name of the channel, the Porta Potty.
Yeah.
He says Poddy.
The Porta Potty. Episode 100. So he knows that he wanted to make him.
Is that him? That's Brendan Murphy,
him.
or is it the fucking dick on the right?
No, I don't think it's the. I don't think it's this dude. We are using the same mic. I
Similar,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine
Imagine
if I wore a suit to this fucking podcast.
Dude.
How insane. Imagine if we turned the thing on and we were both in suits. That would be fucking nuts.
If there's ever a time where we're doing this in person, we need to
for sure.
Literally mock this episode. Because,
without question.
I'm not trying to talk shit, but the fact that this has 47 views, and I know our episode will get way more than that.
That's the thing. When it comes to the internet,
let's just
I feel like I'm the Brendan Murphy that they're looking for, but maybe not. It's proven. I mean, that hasn't been the case always. People, like I said, the NFT guy, people buying shit, the fucking the other, but
the Porta Potty. It is episode 100, and today I am joined by Brendan Murphy.
That's weird, dude.
So weird. Fuck. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe everyone named Brendan Murphy just loves to fucking talk.
Maybe
we just can't get enough of hearing our own fucking voice. But
speaking of that, we have another dude in the interview. This is Brendan Murphy, the fire protection engineer.
Hi, Richard Gage with Richard Gage 911. We are
also. I don't understand how.
Ooh, okay, I like this.
I don't know if this is a conspiracy. Like he's like got
It seems
like 9/11
like
shit. Yeah,
it seems like it. And honestly, that's cooler than Counterparts' discography.
The evidence.
Yeah, this is just me. I had shorter hair and I got interviewed by the guy from the Six Flags commercial.
Oh yeah, I love how there's a bunch of just like this dude has been debunked many times. But one of the last interview Brendan Murphy's. This is Brendan D. Murphy, the freedom hacker, truth addict, and podcast host of the Truthiverse.
I mean,
so
not that far off.
Yeah.
This is probably the.
This is you on a bad day.
This is the most similar. To me, I think if I just got out of the shower and I had a goatee, we're the same fucking guy.
and Taylor acoustic guitar sponsorship, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, shit.
So the very last one.
The title itself pisses me off. Involving yourself and using the higher mind. Spiritual Geek Out podcast with Brendan D. Murphy. I mean, he's got some subscribers and shit.
Yeah, he's got some stuff, but let's make sure that this podcast outshines this one for sure.
Oh, for sure,
folks. And the very last one, which we try to save the best for last.
Yep.
Brandon Murphy pie sandwich.
This looks like it's from Kenny versus Spenny. Oh man. Oh no.
He goes for the
Giving him
nibs.
the bra too. Fuck.
Yeah.
How long
Dude.
is that? 11 seconds.
11
seconds. Brandon Murphy takes a pie sandwich for the Slime the Green Monster fundraiser.
I have more questions than answers.
I think it's like, what I'm gathering from this is just like most people with the name Brendan Murphy, something's up. Something's going on. Something's going on with them. And that just might be a thing that, that might be a thing that we share.
Mm-hmm.
But good God. You got 9/11 conspiracies, you got football, you got the Green Slime Monster fundraiser, you got fucking whatever the hell those other two guys were talking about. Yeah, actor guy. And then you got the screamer.
We covered literally every base when it comes to Brendan D. Murphys of the world.
That's what I mean. I can't wait to find a Brendan Murphy that's like actually done something with his life. I think that'll be sick. But hey, it might be a curse.
It might be a curse. Brendan, before we go, we have to end every podcast, as you know, with a Mosh related story. I know that you've already done 2 of these, so at this point you don't have to do the most elaborate one. You could do anything that's super fresh, or anything that's just more recent.
I'm trying to think. I think I did what? On the other 2, it's like
Mosh.
I did the table story and then the misery signals one.
Yes, where you just left mid conversation.
Yeah, and yeah. Fuck, I'm trying to think. Does it have to be about me? Because I have a cool one about Trey, who used to he designs all of our merch. He does like our album layout stuff, and
I'll allow it.
He used to tour with us and everything. I wasn't that big of a mosher, I would, but one of the best things I've ever seen. I don't even really know if it is mosh related. I mean, I guess it was. That's how we played it off, and I hope I don't get him into trouble for this. I met Trey. He's the one. He did the the You're Not You cover, Nothing Left to Love. He did the layout for Eulogy. He's done millions of shirts for us. He runs Fresh Cut Flowers. We were on tour in 2013. He was selling merch for a band, Heart to Heart, that was also on Pure Noise. And he was selling merch. And so I would sell merch for Counterparts at that time. And so, we'd end up talking and hanging out every day, put our tables beside each other and shit. And I found out that he would do spoken word stuff under the name Trey the Ruler. And it was I listened to it after he told me, and I was lyrically we kind of align a lot. We kind of, the way we write is very similar. And I was yo, this guy fucking rocks. And then so he's from Portland, and I guess he would do shows, and it would be hardcore metal shows, whatever. And he would kind of open up and read poetry and shit. And then so on the tour, I was yo, we don't have I'm our set's supposed to be 40 minutes. We played for 30. I'm yo, before our set every night, just come up and read a couple things to the crowd. And, and he had records and shit, and he was trying to sell them. And I'm yeah, just do that. So we had him do it. And, I don't remember where we were. I want to say maybe somewhere in northern-ish California, but we were doing this a lot. And most of the time, people were very receptive. A lot of people especially with us too, it's the lyrical content is a big part of Counterparts. So people appreciated it. And then we played one show in some some B market city. And I remember in the middle of his poem, someone he was talking or whatever, and it was quiet, no music. He's just speaking into the mic, and someone was just heckling him or whatever and yelling at him. And he just stopped and was just all right, fuck you, man. I'm done. Kiss my ass. And then we were all looking or waiting around to start our set. And we were is he done? Mm-hmm. And then we just rang out the thing. We just started doing the feedback thing. And it was beautiful. this guy was like not in the front row, but he was like very close. And Trey was so fucking mad about it. And so were we. Like, I'm pretty sure we were like screaming at him too. And it was like the second the feedback hit, he like didn't even give me the mic. He just dropped it. And I've never seen a more well executed drop kick on a human being. It was like wrestling. He jumped off stage, both feet in the chest, sent this kid fucking flying. And then I guess to kind of cover it up, he just got up and started like absolutely beating fucking ass. And then when that happened, I was like we're halfway through our set and I see him just like going ape shit. And I was like, that guy's going to be one of my best friends. I'm like, I love this dude. And then last year, I was one of the best men at his wedding. And
Wow.
that's kind of what clicked, you know. It's I mean, feel bad for the kid, but yeah, shut up. Like, he fucking deserved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But watching this guy that I've known for all of like 4 days just drop kick the shit out of somebody and then being like, yo, I love this dude, to like watching him get married and like being one of his best men. I'm like, it's weird how life works out, but
Yeah.
I'm stoked on it.
You
know what I
couldn't
mean?
write that for a show if you even tried.
It was insane. Like, well, and that's the thing I always say, like, not to get too far off topic, but like, I've always said that about like people in America, like at shows and stuff, they just generally go crazier than kids in Canada, which is you'd think the opposite because like we have free healthcare and
Right.
they don't.
Right.
But just, you know, this is probably like second, third US tour, and just like seeing that and like seeing nothing happen and everybody just going, oh damn, this guy's moshing pretty hard. I was like, he kind of drop kicked him, man, but it was fucking sick. You know what I mean? I loved it. And I like just watched this kid go flying and I'm just like, that's my fucking boy. And, you know, started Fresh Cut Flowers together. Fucking, you know, he does designs for us nonstop. He's like in charge of the entire aesthetic that Counterparts has. Like, was at his wedding. Like, you know, it was from that moment on, I was like, I think this guy's going to be like a pretty big part of my life. And, and all because of a drop kick. Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, he was moshing a little bit, but like I said, I think it was you can't just do that and like go back to merch and be like, we have XLs.
Right.
Like,
you got to disguise it a little
kind of
bit.
gotta, yeah, you gotta like play it off like a little bit or else it's a fucking assault charge.
Right.
But that, yeah, I loved that. I love revenge. It's the best.
I love like
I'm
street
petty.
justice,
I'm petty.
you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I love, yeah, he deserved it. But hopefully that doesn't get Trey in trouble. But I mean, there's probably a statute of limitations. It was like 10 years ago and it was a fucking drop kick. I mean, it's going to happen. But, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot in this third round with you, Brendan.
Definitely.
Obviously, all your links, as always, will be in the description in the show notes. You know, if you got anything you want to shout out or plug, this is the time. But I just want to say, like, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and it's like so nice to be able to like, you know, just be able to go in all these different tangents and like, you know, I definitely am just very excited for what the future of Counterparts is going to be in the next couple of years to come. But anything you want to plug or shout out, you know how to do that thing.
All we've got now, so Counterparts, next month in September, we're going to be on tour with Devil Wears Prada, Fit for a King, and Landmarks. It's like full North America. And then immediately when that's done, I'll be flying to start the End tour, and it's Full of Hell and Wake and Inter Arma, another full US tour. So basically from the beginning of September until the end of November, I'm going to be in the States, and I'll probably be in Canada. I'll probably be in your city. So come kick it if you want. If not, might fucking jump off stage and drop kick you. So
That's a very full circle on how we ended our last episode with you guys about to start a tour with Wake.
Yep.
And then just you know, being a Calgary band, and now to see them doing that all over again. I love those guys. They came out like when we played Calgary on the last tour. Like, so good to see those guys. I'm stoked that we're getting to tour with them again. They're so fun. Love those guys. So I'm stoked. Brendan, just again, thank you for your time, man. I know that
thank you for having me.
Of course, yeah. You know, I hope that this could be a a seasonal thing every time we got something fresh in the works. I'm gonna hit you up, and
if I'm not getting a vasectomy, I'm usually not busy. So
okay,
anytime you want to do it, I'm down. I'm here.
Yeah.
So
next time will be me bringing on another Brendan Murphy to debate you.
That'd be sick. That'd be fucking awesome. Sick. That'd be tight.
Hey, your podcast that has 63 views. Do you want to go to battle?
Bring the other musician guy on. We can talk about like music and stuff. I mean, that'd be funny. Actually, bring the fucking 9/11 guy on. Because that would be way funnier. Just don't tell them it's like a bit. Just be like, hey, we have some
burning questions.
Do you want to be on our podcast? It's called Building 7. We have some important stuff we want to talk about. There's actually another Brendan Murphy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The fact that your name is just like a coincidence versus actually the main focus of everything.
Yeah.
I'll get to work. Thank you again for doing this, buddy.